They were dressed as little skeletons, laughing, running, just being boys. That was the last time I saw them. That's what Melissa Harrow said, her voice cracking through tears, as she held up a faded photo. Two identical boys grinning in matching black and white Halloween costumes, their hands sticky with candy, their eyes still full of life. That was Halloween night, 2011. At exactly 8:17 p.m., 5-year-old twins Aiden and Jace Harrow vanished from a quiet neighborhood in Morgan's Hollow, Maine. No screams, no witnesses, no signs of struggle. It was as if the night had swallowed them whole. For years, their case haunted the town. Porch lights were never lit again on Halloween. Their faces remained pinned to telephone poles long after hope had died. The only clue? Their costumes. Gone with them. Until nearly a decade later. In the summer of 2020, a woman shopping at a garage sale 300 miles away in Vermont picked up a Ziploc bag. Inside were two small, folded skeleton costumes, with names written in black Sharpie on the tags. Aiden, Jace. Morgan's Hollow, nestled in the woods of Maine, was the kind of town where everybody knew your name and your favorite pie order at the diner. It was safe, predictable, until it wasn't. On Halloween night 2011, Melissa Harrow took her sons trick-or-treating just like every year. Her husband, Adam, was working a night shift at the paper mill. The boys were inseparable, identical in every way but personality. Aiden, the older by 3 minutes, was quiet and observant. Jace was the joker, loud and fearless. That night, they knocked on about a dozen doors, waved at friends from school, and skipped down Maple Street under a canopy of orange and yellow leaves. At 8:10 p.m., they reached the last house on the route, the old Crawford place. Nobody had lived there since old Mr. Crawford passed in 2009. But that night, the porch light was on. Melissa paused. She remembers thinking it was odd. But the boys ran up the steps before she could stop them. She waited on the sidewalk. 1 minute passed. Then 2. Then 3. She called their names. No answer. Melissa rushed to the porch. The door was slightly open. Inside, darkness. No boys. No voices. Just silence. She screamed their names. She banged on the walls. She ran inside, nearly tripping over rotting floorboards and forgotten furniture. Nothing. They were gone. Within the hour, police were everywhere. Dogs, drones, flashlights slicing through the woods. But no sign of Aiden or Jace. The Crawford house showed no evidence of recent occupation. No fingerprints. No forced entry. No signs of a struggle. But the door had been left ajar. And a trail of tiny, muddy footprints led to the back door and vanished in the overgrown yard. The Harrows were interrogated. Adam had an airtight alibi, punch clock, security footage, co-workers. Melissa was distraught, barely coherent. She took and passed 2 polygraphs. The town turned out in force. Hundreds searched the woods, drained the creek, canvassed door to door. But by week's end, the case went cold. No one had seen the boys after 8:10 p.m. Their costumes? Vanished. No suspects, no leads, no motive, just pain and silence. In the years that followed, Morgan's Hollow changed. Porch lights stopped glowing on Halloween. Parents clutched their children tighter. No one trick-or-treated after dark. The Harrows divorced in 2014. Melissa moved across town. Adam left for Arizona. The twins' room remained untouched, a museum of innocence. Lego sets half-built. Drawings taped to the wall. A Batman cape slung over a chair. Every year, on October 31st, Melissa lit 2 candles on the porch. She never gave up. "They're out there," she told reporters in 2016. "I don't feel death. I feel distance." In the summer of 2020, Nora Ellis, a single mother from Montpelier, Vermont, was shopping at a local garage sale. She was looking for Halloween decorations. Her son had begged for a skeleton costume. At a folding table near the back, she saw a gallon-sized Ziploc bag labeled, "Costumes? Kids, 5 to 6 years old." She opened it. Inside were 2 folded skeleton outfits. Faded, but in good condition. Identical. On the collar tags, written in black marker, "Aiden and Jace." She froze. The names rang a bell. She remembered the case. Everyone in New England did. She bought the bag for $1 and drove straight home. That night, she called the Vermont State Police. The next morning, the FBI arrived. The costumes were verified. Lab tests confirmed biological traces, hair follicles consistent with Aiden and Jace's DNA. But where had they been for 9 years? The garage sale had been held by a woman named Lorna Vicks. She was in her 70s. She said the costumes had been in her attic for years. How did she get them? She wasn't sure. She thought they belonged to her late brother, Franklin Vicks, who had passed away in 2018. Franklin had lived in many states over the years. One of those places, Morgan's Hollow, Maine. From 2010 to 2012. He had lived 3 blocks from the Harrows. No criminal record. No known connection. But when investigators pulled his phone records and travel logs, a pattern emerged. Halloween 2011. A call was made from Franklin's cell near the Crawford house. A week later, he left town. No forwarding address. No notice. In Lorna's home, in a box marked, Franklin Personal, agents found a sealed envelope. Inside, a letter, unsent. It read, "They were just kids. I didn't mean to hurt them. I just wanted to keep them safe from the world. The world breaks boys like that. I gave them a better life, I think. But I know I can't keep this secret much longer. I'm tired." There was no address, no names. But investigators believe it was a confession. Was Franklin the one who took Aiden and Jace? So where did he take them? Tips began flooding in. People from across the Northeast reported seeing 2 teenage boys who looked identical, living with a man in a remote part of upstate New York. In October 2021, authorities followed a lead to a cabin in the Adirondacks. Inside, they found journals, Polaroid photos, and children's drawings signed A+J. But no boys. The cabin had been abandoned, dust-covered, empty. Locals remembered Frank and his nephews, said they kept to themselves. The trail went cold again. Today, Melissa Harrow still lives in Morgan's Hollow. She never remarried. She still lights 2 candles on Halloween. And she still believes her sons are alive. They were taken, not lost. That means they can be found. I believe they'll come home. Maybe not today. Maybe not this year. But one day, a mother knows. The garage sale, the costumes, the letter, they weren't an ending. They were a beginning. A whisper from the past. A sign that the story isn't over. Not yet. Following the discovery at the cabin, the FBI launched a task force focused solely on the Harrow twins. They began tracing Franklin Vicks' travel routes, interviewing anyone who had ever lived near him. One breakthrough came from an anonymous tip. A woman from western Massachusetts claimed she'd once seen Franklin at a gas station with 2 quiet, pale boys around 2014. She remembered them because they spoke in whispers and wore matching jackets with the letters A and J stitched inside the collars. But when police retrieved surveillance footage from that year, the gas station had long since closed, and the tapes were gone. Franklin, it seemed, had carefully erased his tracks. In 2022, a forensic team re-examining Franklin's personal effects uncovered a memory card tucked behind a false panel in a wooden picture frame. It contained over 300 photos. Many were mundane landscapes, old buildings, grocery receipts. But then came a series of haunting images. 2 boys around 7 or 8 years old, playing in a sunlit yard, sitting on the hood of an old truck, feeding chickens, building snowmen, always with Franklin nearby, always rural, always isolated. One photo showed the boys sitting on the porch of the very cabin in the Adirondacks. And in one, a journal sat on the windowsill. Its cover read, "The Hollow Boys." In early 2023, that journal was found buried beneath the cabin floorboards by a volunteer searcher. Inside, pages of childish handwriting, simple stories, doodles, notes to each other signed AJ and JJ. But in the final pages, something different appeared. A letter. It read, "If someone finds this, please tell our mom we're okay. We didn't run away. We didn't forget. We miss her. We can't leave yet. He said it's not safe. But I think it might be soon. Love, Aiden. The handwriting was shaky. Words were misspelled. But the message was clear. They had been alive. They had remembered. The letter became a national story. Melissa was flown to Washington to meet with federal officials. Dozens of new leads poured in. A composite sketch of the boys, aged up to 17, was circulated across the country. Melissa started a podcast, Still Hollow. She interviewed parents of missing children, survivors, journalists, former FBI agents. She spoke directly to her sons in every episode. I'm still here, Aiden. I'm still here, Jace. If you can hear this, I never stopped looking. The show gathered millions of listeners. And then one night a voicemail arrived. The message was only 8 seconds long. No caller ID. A voice, teenage, breathless, whispered, "Tell Mom we saw the candles. We're okay. We're close. We remember." The line clicked. Silence. Authorities traced the signal to a cell tower in northern New Hampshire. But the number had been scrambled through a VPN. Melissa wept, not out of fear, but out of hope. October 31st, 2024. 13 years after Aiden and Jace disappeared. Melissa placed 2 candles on her porch, as always. But this time, hundreds joined her. Neighbors, reporters, strangers, all holding candles. At exactly 8:17 p.m., the time they vanished, the crowd fell silent. Then, from down the block, a movement. 2 teenage boys walking slowly, dressed in black and white skeleton costumes. No one breathed. Melissa collapsed to her knees. The boys ran and embraced her. The truth unraveled slowly. Franklin Vicks had raised the boys in isolation, homeschooled them, hid them from the world out of a twisted belief he was protecting them. They weren't abused, but they weren't free. When he died, they had tried to survive alone, afraid of the outside, afraid no one would believe them. It took years for them to feel safe enough to step forward. But they had remembered the candles. They had remembered love. And that saved them.